Welcome to this week's edition of news from the worlds of history and archaeology. My leading story is about a new scientific analysis of the Stone of Destiny, a Scottish artefact that will be used as part of the coronation of King Charles III. As if the stone's origins and legends aren't crazy enough, new things have been spotted on it. I also discussed the discovery of sculptures made by the Tartessos people from southern Spain. This is a particularly noteworthy find because the sculptures are of human figures, the first of that kind to be found at a Tartessian site, and also because the Tartessos civilization disappeared rather suddenly, making it quite the mystery. I look at the Oman Stonehenge and other finds from the Czech Academy of Sciences' third dig season there, and discuss a new paper that claims to have resolved the 819-day count Mayan calendar. A new analysis reveals markings and anomalies on the Stone of Destiny. The Stone of Destiny from Scotland, also known as the Coronation Stone, the Stone of Scone, the Jacob's Pillow Stone, and the Tartessos Stone, is a stone, obviously, with ancient but somewhat mystical origins. Last year I did a video on this stone and the London Stone, both of which have legends attached to them and hold an almost mythic importance, but no one really knows why. The Stone of Destiny has made it to the news quite a bit recently because it will be used in King Charles III's coronation ceremony, where it will be put inside the Coronation Chair. Historically, it was used for the coronations of the kings of Scotland before being moved to England in 1296 and then returned to Scotland again in the 20th century. It now resides in Scotland but is moved to London for royal coronations, the last one being in 1953. As you probably know, where there's a royal family, there tends to be a lot of old traditions and rituals associated with their ceremonies. The Stone of Destiny has made it to the news once again because new information has come to light about it during preparations for the coronation. Historic Environment Scotland, who look after the stone on behalf of the Commissioners for the Safeguarding of the Regalia, carried out analyses on the stone which revealed markings and several anomalies. 3X and 1V marking have appeared during scans. They look like Roman numerals, but an archaeologist not involved in the project thinks they are more likely to be symbols. The same expert also thinks, based on the location of them and the wear and tear of the stone, that the markings were probably made sometime after the 13th century. An X-ray fluorescence analysis carried out to determine more details of the composition of the stone found traces of copper alloy on its surface. These indicate that a copper object had been placed on its surface at some point in its history, presumably for quite a while. It may mean that a religious relic of some kind had once sat there, such as a saint's bell or a copper box containing the bones of a holy person. Traces of gypsum plaster were also found, so it's possible a plaster cast has been made of it before. What's interesting about these new finds is that there's nothing in the historic records which mention its use as a seat for holy relics or a plaster cast having been taken of it, and there's certainly no reference to the markings. The scientists also did a 3D scan of the artefact, which is now available on Sketchfab. I've put a link below. By using Sketchfab, you can zoom in on the markings and other aspects of the stone and see what you think. What's fascinating for me is the way that these small stones often have this mythic history, just as megaliths do. For example, the sword in the stone from the King Arthur legend and the Philosopher's Stone. It seems to me that there's a long history, probably going back to extremely ancient times, of worshipping stones for some unknown reason. The Stone of Destiny is actually made of red sandstone and is known to have been located at Scone Abbey during the medieval period, hence why it's sometimes called the Stone of Scone. Geologists think it was quarried from the area around the abbey, although legends give it a range of different origins, from the biblical lands to Tara in Ireland. The fact that it has remained such an integral part of royal and religious traditions in the British Isles makes me wonder if its history might be steeped in ancient rituals and maybe megalithic stone circles. After all, Scotland was a megalithic hub more than 5,000 years ago. I'm a bit disappointed in the markings though. It would have been great if they turned out to be Etruscan or something wild like that. Sculptures created by the Tartessos civilization found in Spain. A team of archaeologists from the Spanish National Research Council has found 5 sculptures of human figures from the Tartessian site Casas del Toruñuelo in southern Spain. The Tartessos civilization flourished from the Bronze Age onwards before disappearing around 2,500 years ago. It appears to have ended after huge sacrificial feasts took place, where even prized animals were killed before the sites were purposefully burnt to the ground. Experts have speculated that this sea-going coastal civilization, whose culture was a mix of Paleo-Hispanic and Phoenician, probably suffered due to floods and eventually abandoned its settlements. Up until now, experts thought the Tartessos people mostly worshipped deities via animal and plant motifs and betels, which are small stone pillars, what's known as an aniconic culture. However, the discovery of these human representations suggests that they worship divinities with human appearances. 2 of the reliefs look like women, so may depict goddesses. Another figure wears a helmet, so may represent a warrior. The reliefs were found in the temple where one of the mass sacrifices and ritual demolitions took place when the Tartessian culture abandoned the area. 2 other sites, Cancho and La Mata, were also destroyed in the same way. The Tartessos people were adept metalworkers, leaving behind many intricately worked artefacts in gold, silver, bronze, copper, and tin. Casas del Toruñuelo was discovered in 2015. Excavations are ongoing, so it's hoped more insights will be gained into these fascinating ancient people. I have to admit, I don't know a lot about the Tartessos civilization, so it's worth doing a video on it, especially because their language is unclassified and known from less than 100 inscriptions, and I do love learning more about these lost languages. Neolithic artefacts and other finds unearthed in Oman. The Institute of Archaeology from the Czech Academy of Sciences has reported finds from its 3rd excavation season at 2 sites in Oman. More than 20 archaeologists and geologists from multiple countries participated in the fieldwork in the Dhofar Governorate and the Dukkha province. In the Dhofar province, hand axes were found dating back to the first human migration out of Africa between 300,000 and 1.2 million years ago. An old riverbed was also discovered from a time when this desert region had a considerably wetter climate. In this area, 2,000-year-old ritual stone monuments were also found. These triliths have been dubbed Oman's Stonehenge due to their similar appearance. In Dukkha, the researchers mostly focused on a Neolithic tomb dating back to between 5,000 and 4,600 BCE. This megalithic tomb held more than 30 individuals, the remains of which are being analysed to learn more about their diet and the natural environment they lived in. Close to the tomb, petroglyphs were also found on 49 rock faces. These are thought to date to between 7,000 and 1,000 years ago. The researchers also discovered production sites where stone tools would have been made during the Neolithic. So all in all, the 2 areas yielded many different structures and artefacts from everyday life, as well as those related to rituals and burials. They also show that the area was inhabited at many different times, probably influenced heavily by the climate and natural environment. Experts figure out how one of the Mayan calendars actually worked. A new study published in the journal Ancient Mesoamerica outlines how 2 experts have resolved the 819-day count calendar developed by the Mayans. Up until now, this particular calendar, one of several created by the Mayans, had baffled scholars. It was long suspected that planetary connections might account for the 819-day count, but no calculations had fit well enough with it. The study's authors, anthropologists John Linden and Victoria Bricker from Tulane University, took a longer view by looking at 20 periods of 819 days, and it is then that a pattern emerged which fit well with the synodic periods of all the visible planets. This means that the Mayans measured planetary alignments over 45 years and encoded them into this particular calendar. For example, Mercury's synodic period of 117 days fits 7 times into 819. Mars needs 20 periods of 819 days for its synodic period of 780 days. We already know that the Mayans were pretty sophisticated when it came to astronomy, so this is not unexpected, but it is still remarkable. To take such a long view, great care must have been taken to pass down observations and calculations through the generations, something that in itself couldn't have been easy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you to my patrons, channel members, and super chatters for supporting my work. I noticed I got a new patron and a new channel member this week, which is fantastic. Please hit the like button and I'll see you next time.